Welcome, everyone, to the Natty 19 podcast. This is Charlie, and I have a special announcement tonight. Keep your ears peeled for information about Carnage Con. This is a local convention that happens in Killington, Vermont. It will be at the Killington Grand Resort, November 2 to 4, November 2nd to November 4th this year, and Natty 19 is going to be making an appearance.
Woo! We are?
Be there or be square.
Are we just making an appearance, or are we maybe something a little more important?
There might be something a little more involved that we're doing.
Okay.
Keep your ears peeled. Things are in the works.
All right. You heard it here first on the Natty 19 podcast.
We got any other announcements tonight?
We could beg and plead for more iTunes reviews.
always a good one.
Right. Yeah. I want to say thank you to everybody that has been responding to our request for written iTunes reviews. We've been seeing them popping up, and man, it is awesome.
Great reviews, guys.
Great reviews. Thank you so much.
Download count's been great.
Download count's been screaming. Oh, yeah, we busted ass to get out that remaster of the episode 1, and we pushed that out, and now that took off. That was great. So if you haven't heard, if you didn't see any of our posts on that, go back and check it out. It's a lot more crisp, a lot more enjoyable, a lot more easy on the ears, and I had a lot of fun editing it and going back and listening to it. There was a lot of things that kind of, during the adventure, everything that unfolded, it was awesome going back and revisiting where it all began and just hearing it all kind of come together so far. So yeah, if you can and you haven't, go back and check that out.
That and on Patreon, we're going to be releasing our Abyss campaign.
Oh,
from the
should
past.
we? Oh, yeah. So
That's coming right up, isn't it?
We kind of did a quiet Patreon launch as we were trying to figure it all out and learn the workings of Patreon before we really announced it. We weren't really pushing for it. And I think we about got our heads wrapped around it. We're going to be putting out some bonus content over there. So if you want to help us out with donations or such, become a what do you call those? A supporter of the show on Patreon, a patron, if you will. Then that option is available. We've got a couple supporters already that have already found us. Interestingly enough, and I wanted to thank you guys.
Shout out to Hot Ketchup.
Shout out to Hot Ketchup,
Mike.
Yeah. So we've got a show to do.
Cue the music.
You know what was interesting is Fox was watching me prep today in Fantasy Grounds, and he saw the Camadons. Is that how I pronounce them? The last things that you guys fought, the leopards with the snakes coming out of their shoulders, and he immediately pointed at the picture and he was like, "Oh, that's on the paper that you guys have," and I'm like, "What?" And it turns out this paper that Chuck brought out. From what con was that?
PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged. He got this Dungeons & Dragons Tomb of Annihilation sticker sheet, and it has a bunch of characters and monsters on it. And the kids have been playing with it and just kind of looking at it all the time. And it was pretty neat. I wanted to just pass it around, or whoever wants to look at it, I want to pull it out. It's got some neat things on it that you guys have already kind of encountered and came across.
The Aarakocras are there.
It has the El Mirage as well, the little unicorn bunny that was in the legend, and also the
evil koala bear.
Yeah. What was his name? Zorbo? The Zorbo?
Zorbo.
Yeah.
Just Zorbo, right? Or was it?
It's a Zorbo. It's the Zorbo's are type of creature. Yuanti.
Oh,
Fenthaza, the Yuanti priestess there that you guys heard about. Pretty cool anyway, so I just wanted to put that.
Did we hear about Fenthaza, or did we actually fight her?
No, you've only heard her name and a little bit about her. You've never seen her yet. Fenthaza was the priestess there from Taguda Village. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
That's all kind of unfolding. Where did we leave off?
The Commandants.
Oh,
Yeah.
We had just murdered them, and then...
Irame had a bit of a fight.
Irame got wrecked and resurrected.
True.
And Quincy's still wounded and has burned up a few spell slots.
After that fight ended, the dust settled. You can hear the cries. They sound feline in nature. You can only assume they are baby Commandants that these two were protecting.
Copernicus picks him up, hucks him down into the lava.
What is the matter with you?
Now, Irame, I already mentioned you were beat up quite a bit. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to have to. Is this the first time in Natty 19 history that Irame was this close to death?
Yes.
I thought so.
Irame usually plays it safe.
Yeah.
I should have taken flight right away. I don't know what I was thinking. It was silly. Open area would have been fine. I didn't play as safe as I normally do.
Right. Well, it's, combat is like that, I feel. I feel like when you're in combat, a lot of things are happening, and they're happening quick at times, and you're not always gonna make the choices. Hindsight's always 20/20.
We've been walking through the jungle all day. It's hot.
It's been a long
Messes
day.
with your judgment.
Yeah, what day is this, anyways?
It's the end of 14 Hammer.
Sun is all but set at this point. It's still, daylight's still barely clinging on, but it's fading quick. But Irame, while you are healed, you were brought back up, something stayed with you from that experience. And once again, that eerie, familiar feeling envelops you. Only this time it's amplified, where normally your body may tingle momentarily before you shake it off. This time you stumble a bit uncontrollably as your legs go numb, and you fight to keep from vomiting as the sensation moves to the pit of your stomach. You nervously stare ahead at your companions who, as of yet, seem unaware of your condition. Your vision blurs, and after rubbing your eyes violently, you blink a few times, and you're standing at the edge of a plateau overlooking a massive, bustling city. A legion of undead charged through the jungle toward this city, unhindered by the thick growth. From behind you, someone approaches, and you whip around to see a tall, handsome Chalton man dressed in glorious ceremonial armor. Everything about him radiates divinity, but in his eyes, a dark fire burns, the flames of vengeance, as he now moves to stand beside you, looking down at the city with a hunger you've not seen nor care to see again. Now at this point, you guys notice Irame is down on one knee, pale, even more pale than she normally is, being an elf. She looks ill. She's faintly leaning against a crumbling stone wall, her clothes stained with blood from the fight with the Commandants, but she does not look well.
Irame. Quincy will approach her. How are you feeling?
You're standing next to this powerful force, and you hear faintly, Irame. Sounds like Quincy after a while. And then that sick feeling in your stomach slowly just creeps back in until finally you just vomit all over the ground before you. And you look up, and through teary eyes, you're standing with your companions again in Omu.
Lingering effects of the Commandant.
I believe the creatures here are definitely a lot stronger than back before we took Valindra's portal.
Can we do a medicine check?
Sure, give me a...
Anybody want to aid me?
Yes, Copernicus will look with you.
16.
16, you don't detect anything out of the ordinary. While you're doing this, Akramas comes up behind you. He says, "Is your friend all right? Has she been poisoned by the creature?" And you're performing your medicine check. You don't detect any poison or any kind of invasive substance.
I do not detect any foreign substance.
Yeah. You're fully conscious now. You're fully aware now, Irame.
Irame is going to spit from the vomit and look up to Copernicus and say, "This is not the Commandant's.
What is wrong with you?
I haven't the faintest."
Are you with child?
Don't be gross, Copernicus. I need to rest. We need to go back before we go any further.
Akrama steps up. I have no problems with that. I am just here for the ride. I appreciate it, and
Should we go back to the square or back to the house with the writings on the wall?
Are we going back to where Zimwabi and the other guy were?
We should rejoin Zimwabi, I think.
yes, Zimwabi and Riga said that they would set up the guardhouse, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, the sun is setting anyway.
Do we just leave those offspring to die? I kind of feel like an asshole.
Oh, right. Yeah, so if you want to do anything with those, there are 3 baby Commodons. And, at this point, they just look like baby leopards.
They're very cute, yeah.
They don't really have the snakes coming off of their shoulders yet. But you being...
I know they're going to come.
yeah.
And these are just over by, off to the side of one of the buildings that we were.
Yeah, they're in
at.
they're in an abandoned cart. It looks like a old wrecked merchant's cart or something like that that had been turned into a nest.
I like to see Mr. Don Chaka's softer side. Reminds me he's a family man.
I feel really shitty, but I don't really know if there's anything I could do. I can't fucking take care of these things. And I feel like they're just gonna die. Like, are they old enough to, like, survive on their own? Or
yeah, that's a good question. You could probably tell that the future looks bleak for them. However, if you could get them outside the city parameter
Right.
and maybe into the forest, or in the jungles, they'd have a fighting chance.
that's exactly what I'm thinking more of. Like, actually into the forest.
Maybe wrapping them up in a blanket or something like that and bringing them back to the guardhouse.
All right, yeah, I'll do that. I'll actually wrap them up.
All right, you see Zavril. He does give a glance over to Irame and appear concerned, but then he moves over to those baby Commodons, and you see him pluck them up, wrap them in a blanket, and tuck them under his arm.
Irame is going to stable herself and reach down and pick up, I'm assuming her glasses fell down, probably in vomit now. She's going to reach down and pluck them, disgusted, and start wiping them with her already disgusting clothes.
Quincy will watch Zavril handle the Commandant cubs.
So, as you guys turn to leave, you notice Akramas. He kind of peers into the shrine entrance, shakes his head a little bit, and then nods to himself in a reaffirming way.
The shrine's not going anywhere. We'll handle it tomorrow.
Yes, of course. And then he quickly quickens his pace to catch up with you guys. Now is
all
when
hell
things
breaks
get
loose.
serious.
Let's get physical. Hey, I want some pictures, man.
I like to replace it with critical. I
Yeah.
wanna get critical.
I like it.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it in my shoulder.
Get your leg warmers on, boys.
I've had mine on all night.
Okay. When you get back to the guardhouse near the entrance of the city, you find Zimwabi and Riga. They're cleaning up the place. They're kind of, at this point, you hear them laughing about something, you didn't really catch it. But they're talking quietly, but, they're to the point now where they're kind of joking around, and you see them cleaning up the place and unpacking your camping gear.
You two seem to be getting along nicely.
Ah, that was quick. Have you gotten all the puzzle cubes?
Not quite.
Zimwabi says.
Be careful with that navigation equipment in there.
I was just going out to set the bone lines.
The cartographer's tools. They're rather delicate, you see.
I am only pulling out the camping gear. I was about to show Rigga how to set the bone lines.
So where are we again on the map?
Right here.
Oh, we're that very first building.
Yep.
Okay, so, and then like how long did it take to walk down to that shrine from there? Is that like a half a mile, or is that more like a football field?
No, let's look at this. Where's the scale? Boom. That's how many feet. So it's about
like 1,000 feet.
And maybe about 700 feet.
It's not far at all.
No. It's not very far. It took you, I mean, you guys were moving cautiously the first time, so it took you probably 20 minutes. But now that you know it's clear, you feel a lot more comfortable moving back. It only took you about 10 minutes tops.
So as we're back at like our campsite, Copernicus would just be kind of sitting outside the front door, just listening, taking in the city while it's turning night, just listening to the sounds of it. Like, do I hear any shouts or activity in the city, or is it all just like jungle sounds, like
It's
monkeys and?
Yeah, it's jungle sounds. You do hear roars, the occasional roar here and there.
I imagine we could hear the waterfall hitting the lava, like the steam, you know.
Yeah, you can hear you do hear a raging waterfall in the distance as well. The acoustics in this place, if you look at the map, I believe we are going to try to get this map on our Tumblr too. If anyone wants to take a look at it, it's a great map.
It's like sunken.
It is sunken. It's like in a crater. So you've got this neat little what I imagine is like the acoustics in this place are interestingly different than what you'd expect. But I'm no sound guy.
So, yeah, that's what Cappy's doing. He's just hanging out by the front door.
Quincy will start plucking on his lute to perform Song of Rest. I don't know that we're going to need to spend hit die, but in case I'm assuming we're going to take a long rest.
Yeah, long
So it
rest is
actually
going to
probably
replenish
doesn't
our
matter.
hit die, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll use it.
Yeah, I guess, so then it doesn't matter that I use Song of Rest. I'll just play the music for ambiance.
All right.
Song of Rest is mostly helpful for a short rest.
And what's the Song of Rest do for me?
If you spend hit die, it gives you extra hit points.
How many?
1d6, but you're not spending hit die. If we take a long rest, we're actually gaining hit die.
I was going to spend one, then take a long rest.
Oh, so you're gonna
Oh, wait, when you take the long rest, you get...
what that makes
you
get
get
anyways.
hit
You get all
die,
your hit
and
die.
you get
You get all your
points.
hit points back and your half your hit.
5e
No, you don't get
so
all,
easy.
You don't get all your hit die back. You get
half of
your level, right?
half of your max hit die,
Half of your max hit die. So there is something about that.
right? But you're either taking a short rest or a long rest. You
Yeah.
don't. And when you take a short rest, you spend hit die. When you take you have the opportunity to spend hit die. When you take a long rest, you regain hit die. So the Song of Rest, which gives you extra hit points when you spend hit die, is only really useful during a short rest.
Ah, okay.
I'm gonna let the team know what I'm doing. It should be a pretty safe trip. I'm just gonna do a release and come back,
All right.
and then I will start my way to the edge of the city.
Copernicus mutters to himself.
I don't trust that one.
You do not trust the man that's saving the baby cubs,
Ulterior motives, Quincy.
like Sybil's ulterior motives.
Hey, we haven't seen Sybil in a long time, have we?
Well, that is one that I do not trust.
She's never done anything wrong to you.
She hasn't done anything right either.
If you don't mind, I nearly died and passed out and vomited today. Can we get some quiet?
I'm quite sorry, Irame. Perhaps next time you should fucking fly at the beginning of the battle.
Can you fly, Copernicus? Is it that easy?
No, because I'm only allowed to switch one spell per level.
And I the same. It's not my fault you chose poorly.
All right, Zavril. So you can make it back up to the jungle's edge easy enough. And I mean, unless there's anything else that you wanted to do up here, you can release the cubs.
Right. It seemed like a pretty safe path anyways coming up. It was just once we got into the actual walls of the city.
Right. Apart from that, you want to patrol anyway.
No, I think I'm good. I think I'm just gonna release them. At least give them a fair shot.
All right, yeah, you release them. They kind of look up at you, frightened. They look into the jungle and then back at you, and then the three of them just kind of disappear into the jungle.
Be safe, guys. Be safe.
Some dinosaur comes in and wrecks their asses.
That's exactly what I'm expecting. One good deed ruins everything.
After a while, Zavril returns empty-handed. He seems satisfied.
I admire your actions, Mr. Don Tracker.
Now, he gets back. Zimwood says, "The bone lines are set. Who will take first watch?"
I will, if you don't mind. I have some things I need to, or that are running through my mind. I need to go over. So, I'm not ready to sleep anyways.
So, for the record, before this episode tonight, our lovely DM over here told us, make sure we have all our backup characters ready.
That's
Mine
right.
is not ready.
Well, I slapped one together real quick.
I slapped it together, but I didn't craft the backstory.
But then at the same time, I'm like, nah, he can't kill us.
I only say that
doesn't have it in
because
him.
I only say that because I meant to say it as soon as you got to Omu, because Omu it's geared between like levels 5 and 8 or something like that. But then like I was reading through and there was a few parts that were questionable.
Just browsing on the internet a lot more lately. There's a lot of people who won't even play this.
What,
Like
Omu?
Yeah, like Tomb of Annihilation.
Oh, why?
Like I've been getting hit up by other DMs that they're like, hats off to you guys. I wish I could get my players to play this because I guess it's so hard.
Oh.
Well,
So-
we are just getting to the hard part.
Right, right.
We've taken our time.
Yeah, a lot of people a lot of TOA games I've seen skip everything up to this point. They start here. You know, it's weird. They start at Omu.
I like the way we've done it. I liked taking the time with the sandbox and sort of building up
Yeah.
to this
Yeah,
part.
well, we like.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Well,
more
we
our
like
style.
That's our
playing
style.
D&D. But anyway, yeah, so I went online because I was like, this is kind of ridiculous, like, going forward here. And I went online just to see what other DMs are doing, and all I see is, like, is Omu too overpowered? Like, what, you know, like...
Well, no, I thought
my whole
the
party
spirit,
wiped, and you know what I mean? It's like, what should I have done? Am I a bad DM? Am I, you know? But this is crazy.
Right, not to get too far off track, but I did think that the spirit of Tomb of Annihilation was to secede. What's that old
Tomb of Horror.
Tomb of Horror, which was also like
Extremely difficult.
Yeah, Tomb of Horror is
That's like the
So I didn't
theme. That's
know-
the theme, right,
Yeah,
of the whole adventure.
I didn't know any of this.
They made Tomb of Horror way back in the early 80s, something like that, and it was meant to be it was meant to kill people. And the fun of it was players trying to see how far they can get before they die. And that was the whole premise of the Tomb of Horror,
So
right,
you
it's
gave
not
us.
if you die, it's how you die.
right? How far you can get.
So you gave us 37 episodes to work out these characters and get attached to them, and now you're just gonna TPK us.
Well, that's the
Well,
thing is,
It
I don't
might not be a TPK.
I think that it would. I assume that it would be just on how everything's going. Like, I can't see one person dying with this party, you know, unless.
Quincy sees 2 people going down, he's out.
Well, you've
Just
seen
saying.
2 people go down before.
Him and
No,
Zim
that's
Wabi
true.
are gonna
You've
be
seen
That's true.
you've seen Zavril and Copernicus go down at the pit.
Everybody's
That's
gone
true,
down,
That's true.
and a couple of us more than once.
All right,
Well, anyway,
Irame would never leave you.
that's
the dawn. We see the sunlight through the through the wooden slats.
So,
I was looking
Copernicus,
forward to that.
you're gonna have second watch.
No, if Copernicus doesn't get first watch, he wants last watch, of course. He will not interrupt his sleep.
like his sleep interrupted.
Well, who wants second watch?
Quincy will take second watch.
Quincy will take second watch. All right. Does anyone else have anything they want to do before calling it quits for the night? Just figured I'd ask. It sounded like you guys were ready to move on.
Yep.
Everybody settles in at this point. Zavril, the time is passing slower than usual. Your thoughts bring you closer to home as your wife's name day fast approaches. You revive the memory of her last name day when you took your family to Waterdeep to see her favorite troupe perform A Tale of Two Winds. If she had known your true reasons for the journey were to meet with a publisher, she would have killed you. Funny, you never got to meet with him because, oddly enough, his door was locked the entire duration of your 2-day stay. So, almost a year later, you found yourself at the 3C Shipping and Freight office going over some details with Alarad. What's your passive perception again, Zaves?
I want to say 14. Give me a second. Oh, passive is 14, yeah.
Okay. As you're deep in thought, the fire crackling, the jungle night buzzing all around you, you hear through all of it the unmistakable sound of a bowstring letting loose.
Is this into, like, the actual house we're in, or is this, like, outside?
Yeah, you're in a building, but there's quite a few openings, cracks, and crevices.
I love that sound.
All right, does a 22 hit your AC?
Yes.
All right. As you clutch your shoulder, you look down to see a primitive but ornate arrow lodged deep in your flesh. The fletching dyed a bright orange and green. Instinctually, you manage to draw one of your whips. You try to cry out, but no words escape as your vision begins to blur. The tip of the arrow must have been poisoned. You can't help but think. And you feel a thud, followed by the cold stone floor pressed against your face. And through glazed vision, you see a large snake-like humanoid sheathing his bow and silently slithering in through one of the cracks towards you on a massive tail. And darkness then closes in around you, and your last thoughts, your wife and son. And will you ever see them again?
Damn.
The rest of you wake up to Zimwa B entering the structure, holding the severed bone lines. Seeing all of you begin to stir, he starts pacing back and forth, and he says, "Zavra was taken. I cannot find the trail." In his hands,
What?
you see he is holding a whip, not all too different than the ones you've seen.
Or is it?
It's morning.
Quincy feels very ashamed.
Quincy,
like he blushes.
No
because-
one's ever woke. He didn't wake you up. It's
you
like
slept
way
right
past
through it.
watch, right?
Still, I should have. My biological clock should have awoken me.
Now, glancing around quickly, collecting your senses, not far from where Zavril was sitting, just the night prior, again, that same image of the snake coiled around a circle, drawn in soot.
Quincy, he never woke you for watch.
No. This is. I'm
Copernicus
rather.
wiping the sleep out of his eyes.
Yeah, Quincy's just, his face is red because he feels like he should have been awake and aware, but no, not one bit.
Cappy will immediately go out to the area where Zavril was and start looking at the ground, trying to. Was he taken? Did he get up and leave? What happened here? What
Yeah,
am I picking up?
let's do some investigation. I have a really good one.
Okay.
If you want to aid.
Yeah, let's see some investigation
go ahead.
rolls.
25.
Good investigation. It was tricky to find any kind of clues as to what happened here, but after a bit you do notice, and it was real hard to spot, but there is a small speck of blood. And with that high of an investigation, you can tell it was caused by a puncture wound. As a matter of fact, a well-placed arrow might cause such a minute amount of blood.
Zimwabi, this looks to be from an arrow wound. Do you know of anything in the jungle that would...
You turn to Zimwabi to say that, and you see that he's already hastily shoving supplies into his bag.
So it was like a puncture.
It was a puncture. It looked. You had a high investigation. You could deduce that he was struck by some sort of projectile.
Yep.
You assume maybe had some sort of
poison dots.
Poison dots and curses.
So does Zimwabi have both of Zavrel's whips?
He only had one whip in his hand.
Let us hope that he is still armed.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a 25 you got for an investigation. Oh, yeah. Let's paint the whole picture for you. That's an awesome roll. So, Zavrel was sitting there.
And I'm picturing, like, Prince Humperdinck, Quincy, stepping and moving his hands and his eyes, like, reimagining the scene.
I don't know who Prince Humperdinck is, but
that's from Princess Bride.
Oh, okay. But I was going to say, I've seen Sherlock.
There was a mighty duel.
Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, I picture Sherlock, you know.
Right. Yeah.
When it's...
No, I go to the classics, baby.
All right. Zavrel was sitting there. Must have been
Zavrel was sitting there.
Yeah, he must have been a real stealthy character to sneak up on Zaves.
Must have been a real stealthy character to sneak up on Zaves. Mr. Don Tracker.
Well, he hasn't been known to have the best perception all the time.
This is true, but he's also immune to the surprise condition. Well, no, that's only in the forest. I'm corrected.
Yeah, but this...
It's kind of urban setting at this point now.
True, okay.
You can only assume, looking around with that kind of investigation, that an arrow must have come through that break in the wall over there. Whatever it was, you remember now, Zimwabi. You were a little foggy when you woke up. Zimwabi was holding cut bone lines. Whoever it was, they discovered the bone lines, cut them, came through quietly, enough, point an arrow right through that slit, right through the crack in the wall, nail Zavrel with it, knock him unconscious, some sort of drug, poison, before he could even get any kind of sound out to wake anybody up. Now you see Zavrel drawing, going for his whip. He got one whip out. That's the one that fell to the ground out of his hand when he then collapsed on the stone floor. Then he was lifted up on whoever this was, lifted up on their shoulder and carried out. Carried out by who, though? Or rather, what? Looks like the body, the trail marks of a slithering giant snake.
The only thing I cannot figure out is why they would take Mr. Don Tracker and not to do away with the rest of us.
Akramos chimes in. If I may say, if the Yuanti did in fact take him, he was taken for a reason. Of that I'm sure. If they didn't need us, they would have slit our throats while we slept. No, they took Mr. Zavrel, was it?
Mr. Don Tracker.
Mr. Don Tracker. They took Mr. Don Tracker to be used as leverage. It is the Yuanti way. I do not know much else about them, but as I said before, Raz Nasi does not want us obtaining these puzzle cubes. Perhaps this is where he seeks leverage in your friend.
Next time, I set the goddamn bone line, Zimwabi.
At this point, Zimwabi is he's seething. He finishes packing his bag. He says, I am leaving to find Zavrel. This is my fault.
You're not going alone, Zimwabi.
Then get your things ready. If we hurry, perhaps we could catch them.
Copernicus kind of keeps to himself. He knows what he just said was like a dick move.
I thought we would have upgraded from bone lines by now.
You did upgrade your bone lines, but he still calls them bone lines. They have little... They do have bells on them now.
I want some, like, silver bells.
Whilst everybody was kind of looking around and investigating, Irame was trying to focus on what was happening, but she was trying to puzzle together the vision that she had. She couldn't help her brain from recycling that imagery over and over in her head. And upon Quincy saying, Zimwabi, you will not go alone, she snaps to and she says, no, of course not. We will join you.
All right.
The puzzle cubes can wait.
As this is happening, the faint smell of lilac fills the area.
Ooh. Yeah.
And from the darkest corner of the room, you hear a voice.
Yes. It's been 20 episodes, Sybil.
The feeble-minded red wizard is both pathetic and a fool.
I couldn't agree more.
But he is correct nonetheless.
Well, you know, Sybil, it's nice to see you, but for one, Valindra doesn't trust red wizards, and he's a red wizard. Then he left the red wizards. He seems pretty feeble-minded. I was just...
Copernicus, you are bumbling again.
I'm sorry. I've missed you so much. Where have you been?
I have been busy. My absence was with good reason, Copernicus. What we are doing must be dealt with the utmost care, and I cannot risk the prying ranger inadvertently messing things. Oh, I see. It appears Mr. Dawn Tracker has gotten himself taken, and now you are all upset. How crass of me.
Prying?
Yes, he fancies himself as a hunter of sorts.
Do you know anything about it, Sybil? Do you know where he is?
I know many things, Copernicus. That is not one of them. My memory, though, does return with each step you take, Copernicus. Rosna C is a deadly adversary.
I feel like anybody could use that line in any situation where they don't know something. There are many things I know, but that is not one of them. No matter who you are, you could use that line.
That's right.
I love Sybil.
Where was I? Rosna C is a deadly adversary, and if your nosy ranger did in fact fall into the warlord's grasp, you better think long and hard before storming off to his rescue. You'll all be food for Denda.
At the mention of Rosnasi, Irame is going to snap her head quickly towards Sybil and ask, "What do you know?"
Who is this elven girl who pesters me with such minute questions?
I saw him. Yesterday I saw him. I saw him with an undead horde. I'm positive. I remember learning of him in the library of Wakanga.
Ah, yes. Well, you do know a thing or two, apparently. Rosna C was once the chosen of Uptau. Now he is nothing more than a slithering malison to the Yuanti. Yeah, sure, he has worked his way up in their ranks and now leads them. To what end, I wonder?
What are you doing here, Sybil? You've been gone for so long. Why do you grace us with your presence now at this moment?
Your ranger friend was getting a little too personal with my presence.
What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't know. I caught him collecting samples of our last visit.
Quincy's taking a mental note of this.
He has some sort of reason to believe that I am something that I am not. And now, he wishes to add me to one of the chapters in his book, no doubt.
Copernicus is connecting all the dots now of when Zavril was telling him about Clem in the meeting. Mm-hmm. So I guess he's probably putting that whole scene together in his mind. Zavril up at the ritual site taking samples and then meeting with Clem. He's not happy about it.
She continues, "You should know that these puzzle cubes serve as a key to a wicked place not of this world. Within this place a dark power grows, one life at the cost of thousands, you could say. If Rosna C does not want you obtaining these puzzle cubes, it is for a good reason. One that's worthy of your attention, Copernicus."
Whose life? Who's the one life, Sybil? So you say this unlocks a gateway to something. We know a bit about unlocking gateways. Does it have anything to do with your entrance to this world?
Unfortunately, the third and final piece of the Krugen... Is it 3 pieces?
Yes.
Unfortunately...
Who's the fool now, Sybil?
We're editing that out. Anything foolish I say is getting cut. The third and final piece of the Krugen sphere is still lost to me, Copernicus. That is where I still need you.
It's somewhere here.
And as for your other question, I cannot tell you any more than that. I can only reveal what is revealed to me, and it is just bits and pieces. You must travel further. You must continue. My memory is growing with every step you take.
I will.
Copernicus kneels down before.
She collects herself.
Quincy makes an audible noise like audible noise of disgust.
She collects herself and regains her composure. And she puts her hand on your shoulder and says, Copernicus, I am not upset. You understand there is an agreement and the clock is ticking. And it is a clock for my own existence.
I understand. There is an agreement.
And the clock is ticking for our friend, Mr. Dawn Tracker.
She quickly looks to you, Quincy. As I said, if you're so much of a fool, which I never took you as one, Mr. Quincy. I always thought you were a handsome and intelligent lad. If you go after Rosna C right now, you will all die. The best thing you can do is collect these puzzle cubes and keep them from the others.
So
as we speak, the Red Wizards, your friends' companions, are scouring the shrines while we sit in here worrying about your snooping ranger. If they get their hands on the puzzle cubes, who knows what they'll do with them.
As cruel as it sounds, she's right. There's a larger ticking clock here. Apart from our personal wants to go after Zavril and to even the Krugensphere, we need to collect these cubes. We're in a race against the Yuanti, and obviously we know the Red Wizards.
No, I like your conviction.
Zim will be angrily slings his bag over his shoulder. He says, I understand the urgency of what is happening. I may be a simple-minded villager raised in a bubble, tormented by the Zinti, who come to find out later were controlled by these Yuanti. All right, I am not well-versed in the world, such as you, but I know friends and what that means to me. I will go and find Mr. Dawn Tracker and bring him here.
At least take Rigga with you.
Rigga sits up. I will go with this Zimwabi. I've come to enjoy his company. If I can kill any Yuanti along the way, I will gladly do this.
I do not like leaving this to Zimwabi alone. I feel that your patron, what's her name? Sybil. I don't know why I can't remember that. I feel that your patron, this Sybil, I just kind of sneer at her, is driving a wedge between you and Mr. Dawn Tracker. And I don't think that you have your head where it should be.
Well, what do you suppose then? We just let these puzzle boxes get collected by the Red Wizards, and who knows what they'll summon.
I agree with you that we should go after the puzzle boxes. I do not like it. I'm afraid that we're being manipulated. But I will go along for now.
Irme is weighed with a bit of guilt because she knows that her want to solve the death curse is selfish in and of itself. It just happens to be the larger quest that we have at the moment. But she feels guilty for trying to sway because it is for selfish reasons. It's for her father.
He's a family man.
After seeing the looks on you guys' face and hearing what you guys are saying, Zimwabi recollects himself. And he says, I apologize, my friends. I cannot help but take blame for what has happened to Zavril. And I feel as though he has been my pupil this entire time, traveling through the jungles. And he is my responsibility, in a way. Even though he is his own man, and he is a very formidable man. I just wanted to apologize, and I understand the urgency of this. I really do. And if we should discover Zavril's whereabouts, and it is too deadly for us to continue, perhaps Rigga and we will come and find you. And who knows? By then, perhaps you will have had your chance to acquire these puzzle cubes before the Red Wizards. He points to Akramas. And before the Red Wizards obtain them.
Did Zimwabi get a bone necklace?
Yeah, he got a bone necklace.
Okay. Right.
I'm glad that you will continue to look for him, Zimwabi. I can try something here. I'm not entirely certain it will work, but I will see if I can determine the direction that Mr. Dawn Tracker has been taken.
Oh, Quincy, that would That would be an extremely good place to start. My tracking skills, admittedly, are very poor in this setting.
Okay, so Quincy will cast Locate Object.
Nice work.
And he's going to do it, like I'm sure he's familiar with things that Zavril has been wearing, like his duster or his whip. Like he'll just pick something.
Look at his excellent coif of dark hair.
Yeah, his hair.
Yeah, his other whip, right?
Yeah. Something that I feel like something that he's wearing might be better than a whip, which can be left behind.
Taken.
Here's the spell. I sense the direction to the object's location as long as that object is within 1,000 feet. If the object is in motion, you know the direction of its movement.
1,000 feet.
It's not very far, but in the city, it might be...
If they moved him to a camp within the city before moving on, you might be in luck.
I'll give you this. Let's say northwest in motion.
All right.
I'm sorry, northeast in motion.
So
Quincy looks up to Zimwabi and says, I can tell that they're heading northeast.
So I shall leave immediately. He looks to Riga. Are you prepared? Riga lifts himself up by his great sword. Prepared as I'll ever be. Let us go, my friends.
Godspeed, Zimwabi.
Good luck, my friend.
Yes, and good luck to you too, as if I am nothing.
You haven't grown on us yet, Riga.
Rig is cast by the Russian in Armageddon.
No, Irme immediately liked Riga, and she will embrace Zimwabi, which he is used to by now.
Yeah, he finally musters he's adapting to the culture, and he hugs you back. He says, we will return with Mr. Dawntracker.
what's Sybil doing?
Sybil's just pacing. She hasn't
wish-
left yet. She's waiting to hear Quincy talk more shit.
I wish I had something to give to Zimwabi to help him.
That's
I
why
know. I was
asking if
looking
you had the
too. I
bone
was
necklace.
like, I was thinking about giving him my compass so he could at least find Portnai and Zaru.
Well, he's... Yeah.
But then I was like, I can't. I
You
don't
would
know if
need
I
that more
can't
than
part
he
with
would.
that. Yeah, exactly. And then she's going to embrace Riga, give Riga a hug as well.
Says, oh, thank you. I may be new to the team, but I still like farewells.
Hey, wait. I need my water skin back.
Oh.
Does he still have it?
He digs through his pack and he presents it and hands it to you.
Does it smell like wine?
No, he ran out of wine. He's dried out.
All right.
As Riga and Zimwabi leave, Zimwabi looks in at you guys, and you can't help but feel it's the last time you'd ever seen him. Whether that's true or not, that's the feeling you get.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
All right, Han Solo. I have like a parting shot to say to Sybil as she leaves.
Yeah, we could do a good Sybil goodbye now. She, as she kind of starts to float around the room, she then turns to you, Copernicus. She says, "You have made the right choice. Believe me when I say this about Raz Nasi. He is a very old soul."
Goodbye, Sybil.
As she starts to go, Copernicus firmly grabs her by the wrist and squeezes it.
He says, you tell Layla. I love her.
You can tell her yourself when we free her soul, Copernicus. And then she fades away.
I do not believe her, Copernicus. I think her power over you...
Not now, Quincy.
Her power over you is through your isolation.
You can see Copernicus has tears in his eyes.
Maybe we shouldn't be so quick to judge Sybil. I quite like her.
Zimwabi said... No, Zimwabi's gone. Fuck, I got no one I can talk with now.
No, you got Akramas.
Akramas. She seems quite nice.
She didn't seem to like you all too much, Akramas.
No, but she thought that I was with the Red Wizards, mind you. I have no allegiance with these people. And he looks at his red robes and he says, they had left me to die, do you remember? You are my new companions now. I hope you can trust me.
Perhaps you should toss the robes.
I only don them in case, as your mysterious, shadowy, scary figure just said, the other red wizards are still floating around out there collecting these cubes. Perhaps it is best that I continue to don them, so in case we do come across them, we have a chance at diplomacy.
I'm more familiar with Sybil than I am with you.
Oh, very well. And he starts to take his robe off.
No, Orvex. You're right. It's a good idea. And, at least keep it in a backpack.
Yes, of course, Copernicus.
We're going to give him official 3C's shipping and freight credentials.
We can't have him dressed like that and quickly turn on us if we run into them.
Well, are we going to teach Orvex the handshake or no?
The drow finger. Gonna give him the drow finger on day 2?
Well, I'm not hugging him yet.
No, really, there's no reason to be fussing over me. I am a mere scholar. But I am extremely excited to be traveling with you all and uncovering the secrets of this place.
My disposition might be a bit more difficult since my vision. I'm usually much more trusting.
We have phantoms, extraplanar phantoms on one side, red-robed wizards on the other. And Mr. Don Tracker has gone missing, and now we are without Zimwabi. And we have to go find these puzzle boxes. I fear Copernicus has gotten us into a bit of a pickle.
I don't see how this is my fault.
We've been bickering since last night. It must end now. We move forward.
Akramas finishes stuffing his robe in his pack. You see he's now dressed very humbly in his undergarments. He does have like a kind of chewed up,
I'm picturing the nightmare, the Christmas Carol. Those kind of
Like he's got like those
the long
things that hold up his socks.
the footsies or whatever. Oh, no. I was thinking the whole one piece with the
flap
in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's like, he stuffs his robe into his bag and he looks up upon you and he puts his bag over his shoulders and he says, "Shall we continue for the puzzle cubes? The shrine of Shagambi awaits us."
We're all we have, friends. Let's be careful.
We'll see you next time.
We just inadvertently up the stakes. We're bickering. Like not only are we going in with one person down, but we are bickering.
It makes sense right now.
Irame fell for the first time. He got taken. We're shaken.
It's all adding up to a natural
Party
party
split.
wipe.
Poor fucking animals. Those little guys, man. The Kamodons, just all by themselves. In this treacherous world where people randomly shoot arrows into you, poisoned arrows into you. Not even giving you a chance for a fair fight.
Yeah, dude, you gotta boost that passive perception.
It's 14. It's the highest in the party.
Again,
What did you just say?
Again, Quincy has
I'm
just
trying
taken
to
a
pay-
mental note of that.
I'm trying
One
to put it all
step
in.
ahead of Copernicus.
What was the last time?
So, if Rosna C doesn't want us to have these puzzle cubes,
But we don't even know what we need the puzzle cubes for yet. Do we?
Copernicus,
Quincy
you
is
are fool.
already a step ahead of Copernicus.
that's where you threw me off. So what's that mean?
You had to look on your face like a teacher called your name.
I was trailing off.
Deer in headlights.
Long days and pleasant nights.
Zimwabi. Zimwabi.
I find the ocean rather boring.
Lana Bito. Dakus.
Those are your ones that gets you in? Lona, Pito. Baktus.
Da, 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 da.